Tonight I'm going to teach you the first rule for surviving bad economy. Now, I am not a prophet of doom. As a matter of fact, I believe that this is the best time to be alive. I also believe that there are more opportunities on the planet. In any generation, whether you're talking about today or 100 years ago, or 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, I firmly believe that there are more opportunities on this planet at any point in time than the challenges. But of course, we live in a fallen world where systems are not perfect, where the governance of the world, the financial systems, where they are not perfect. They are human systems, and so they are subject to the vicissitudes of humanity. So that is why we must talk about the subject that we are talking about today. Because if you look around the entire world, you don't need anybody to tell you, the numbers are staggering. The global debt has hit a record $313 trillion. The global debt. That is 3 times more than the GDP of the entire, more than the size of the economy of the entire world. And whether it is in the US or it's in Europe, if you're watching from the US, Europe, or different parts of Africa, inflation, like we say in this part of the world, inflation is showing people pepper. You know, it has ravaged the purchasing power of the people. There's a rising cost of food. I hear many of my American friends complain that when they go to the grocery store, that they are not able to buy as much as they used to before. Housing has gone up. In fact, in the estate, I live in a particular city. The rent went from 2.5 million, what we were paying, 2.5 million per annum, went all the way to 15 million overnight. So there's a lot of challenges, and the energy costs are soaring all over the place. So, and then we also noticing trade wars. And the impact of these trade wars is that they are disrupting the supply chains, and then geopolitical instabilities that shake markets all over the world. And you look at the stock markets all over the world now, or you look at crypto, for some of you, like myself, you know, who have gotten into crypto. Everywhere is red. Everywhere is red. Okay? So for millions of people around the world, you know, the ground appears to be crumbling. And the old rule of get a good job and save, that rule is no longer working. And the feeling of financial security is gone all over the place. So, I'm not a prophet of doom, but with this background I have given you, you can tell that all may not be well in the world economy. $313 trillion in debt that's never going to be paid means that something not too pleasant is coming. But always bear in mind, like I said, that at any point in time, in any generation, the opportunities always overshadow the challenges. Now, in the middle of all this noise that I've just described, the things going on, in fact, we can actually bring it down. You know, if you tell me the city you are watching from, and then tell us how things are going generally, economically. Okay, so if we have a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being excellent, like perfect economy, and 0 being terrible economy, things are extremely difficult, people are suffering, people can't buy food, can't pay housing, can't afford healthcare, that's 0. 10 means it's actually fantastic. Okay, so tell me, from where you live, rate the economy of the place you live, so that I want everybody to actually take a look at the comment section. This is global because I already see someone from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, so now tell me, in Atlanta, Georgia, Liberia, South Africa, wherever you're watching from, the United Kingdom, Sweden, tell me on a scale of 0 to 10, where would you rate the economy in your area in terms of the impact upon people? Everybody, do this exercise. All right, just say the city or the country you're watching from, and then rate the economy right now on 0 to 10. All right, so we have Namibia 4. Okay, 2 over 10. Oh yeah, from Atlanta. Yeah, and he said you were laid off yesterday. I'm sorry to hear that, but don't worry, tonight we're going to fix that. You're going to get some very hopeful. Yeah, Oladipo says 4. Where are you joining from? What country, what city you're rating the economy for? Okay, so we can see 2, we can see 4, I can see 4. Okay, keep it going. So tell me how the economy is in your country. All right. Okay, so Atlanta, Georgia, that is 4. Okay, so keep it going. From your country, just type what you will rate the economy of your country right now. So you can see 4 or 2, which you have so far, means that it's not really too good. Now, in the middle of all this noise, the fear, the overwhelm, because you just look at the social media, and then you hear people from all over the world complaining about the economy. It's terrible. And then in the middle of all that, you are told to make money. All right. Max Big Dollar says Uganda 3. Okay. Abiodun says Nigeria 4. CT Money 7 says Atlanta, we have a cost of living that is too much. Apartments were $800 for 1 bedroom in a good area. Now you can't find anything like that under $1,400. And groceries are 3 times as much now. Yeah, and I get the same sort of things, from people in California as well. Okay, so now, in this situation, you still need to make money. You still need to make money. Like someone was laid off yesterday. You still need to make money. The question is, how? How? Where do you even begin? Where do you start when the problem feels so massive? I don't know who else feels the pressure, the financial pressure. It's like something is coming from the atmosphere and it's really, really pressing the population down, some serious financial pressure. And then you still have to make money. So the question is, how? Okay, so Ikemobia is joining us from Norway. So there's a huge salary in Norway, but the weather here is just the problem. I'm sure there are people who would very gladly exchange the huge salary for your weather, but I get you, so that is fine. Okay, so you try to solve all these challenges, at once. The bills are not waiting. In another couple of months, it's going to be school fees. If you have children, you have to raise the school fees for them and all that. So, because you don't know where to begin, you often suffer analysis paralysis. And in a crisis, in an economic crisis, it's a death sentence for your finances, because you cannot afford the luxury of analysis paralysis at this time. So, but what if I told you that there was a single first rule, like what I call a first rule, a starting point that can help you cut through the noise of the economic meltdown and all the challenges that we are having around the world today? people in Nigeria are terrified about by the uncertainty of what the tax regime of this current government would look like, what the implication of that, for them in 2026. So there's a whole lot of uncertainty and all that. But there's a rule, a first rule, a starting point. So, and it's a rule that has worked in every single recession, depression, and economic crisis in modern history. Type in the comment section, tell me about it, tell me about it. And if you haven't given your love for this, go ahead, and if you're getting value so far and you like where this is going, yeah, go ahead and give the love. I think it helps the algorithm to spread this to people who will find it very helpful. So go ahead and press your love. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do that. Oluwaseyi says he's joining from Nigeria and that he would give the economy 4 out of 10. He says apartment that used to be 150K 8 years ago in Oshobo are now between 750K to 2.5 million. So you see, this thing is going around. It's going around, it's affecting everybody. So this first rule, after years of research, myself and working with literally thousands of people, both the time I was on television, the time I worked with Stanford University's program, Stanford Seed program, I came by this first rule, and I'm going to reveal it to you. It's very, very powerful. Now, let me say that it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a get-powerful-quick principle. And it's really important. I really want somebody to capture that. So we're not talking about a get-rich-quick scheme. We are talking about a get-powerful-quick scheme. And you are going to see why it is a get-powerful-quick in just a moment when I tell you what this first rule is. How you are going to make money, manage money, multiply money, even in the midst of economic crisis. Because that's what anybody can survive when the economy is good. Anybody can flex. Anybody can, anybody can flex when the economy is very good. But it takes a genius. It takes a really, really genius and a wise person to be able to survive and thrive when the economy is bad. And then this first rule is what's going to help you to do that. And is based on a get powerful quick principle. And then you're going to understand that. Okay, so before we get to the rule, I want you to understand the trap. Because it's not just imagination. The data supports what I'm telling you. So the things I'm talking about are not just coming from imagination, the trap. So the first one is the inflation squeeze. You can put it down because all of us, from the things you're talking about, when your rent is rising from 150K to 2.5 million, that's part of the inflation squeeze. So according to the 2024 Pew Research report, the average American household needs an extra $11,400 per year just to maintain the same standard of living that they had in 2021. So the money in your bank account is actively losing value. And it is the same for whether like the gentleman joining us from Norway. Fortunately, your economy over there seems to be fairly stable, other than the weather you're complaining about. But in many other places, in the UK, people are complaining. In parts of Africa, people are complaining. In Ghana, in Nigeria, people are complaining. It's exactly the same situation with what is going on in the United States. Because you find that your salary of 150,000 naira a month 5 years ago, what that salary of 150,000 naira a month did for you, you are going to need about 1.5 million to be able to do the same thing. For instance, 5, 6, 7 years ago, you could still find some good schools with school fees of about 300, 400,000. And that was a lot at the time, like 7 years ago. If you found schools charging 500,000 in a year, just 6 years ago, that was great. But today, those same schools are charging 4.5, 5 million, 6 million today. So you need much more to survive today than you did just years ago. Number 2 is the debt trap. So the International Institute of Finance reports, like I mentioned, that the debt problem is already $313 trillion. On a personal level, the Federal Reserve reports that the credit card debt in the United States has surpassed 1 trillion, like $1.13 trillion. And then interest rates are soaring past 20% on the credit card. So people are basically using debt to prop themselves up. It's the same thing here. And then the third trap is the job instability. The World Economic Forum 2023 Future of Jobs report states that nearly a quarter of all jobs are expected to change in the next 5 years. That's by 2028, to factors like AI, digitization, and economic shifts. So the stable job thing is becoming a myth, you know. So, and I'm mentioning these things so that you know that there's got to be a shift. You've got to start making a shift. Because the reason, according to science fiction, that dinosaurs are not there today is because they did not adapt to the changing world. There is changing economic order, and you are going to be a victim if you do not adapt to these changes. So that's why I'm laying it step by step for you. So you have rising costs, you have crushing debt, you have shaky job market. What's the natural response? Panic. People are panicking. And then as they are panicking and getting scared and then living in anxiety, their health challenges are increasing. So people are having serious health challenges. So you either do nothing or you frantically jump from one solution to another without a clear plan, which is what a lot of people are doing. This is why I have restarted this daily, you can call it podcast or coaching sessions, to help people to go through this particular difficult period and to transition well. So it's very, very deliberate. All these sessions, coaching sessions I'm doing, are very deliberate to prepare you for what has already changed and for what is coming. So you either do nothing or you jump frantically from one solution to another without a clear plan. So that is what we must overcome. Because see, anxiety does not solve problems. Fear, overwhelm do not. And then how do we overcome it? It is with the first rule. Everybody type first rule in the comment section because I'm about to tell you what it is. First rule. First rule. Everybody type it in the comment section, because what we are considering today is what is the first rule for surviving any bad economy. And I tell you, this first rule has helped me. And remember, I came about it after working with literally thousands of people. And then going through what I did myself, all the financial struggle I've had since I left Shell, I came about this first rule, and it changes everything. And you need to know it as you get into 2026. And then, in fact, even this particular month, because the month of November actually offers you a great opportunity to apply the first rule. You can look at the live session of yesterday when I told people that November is actually a setup for wealth against 2026. Okay, so first rule. Okay, so what is the first rule for surviving any bad economy? So here it is. Your number one job is this: secure a small, tangible financial victory entirely under your own control as fast as humanly possible. This is what I also call the first $100 principle. So it's not about the number, but I'm going to explain it further. Let me just tell you again what the first rule is. Your number one job is to secure a small, tangible financial victory entirely under your own control, not dependent on the government or the economy, not dependent on your uncle or aunt, not dependent on your employer, not dependent on your environment. Secure that as fast as humanly possible. So I call this the first $100 principle. The first $100 principle. So now, like I said, it's not about $100. It's not about the number. Okay. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, $100 is just a drop in the bucket, you're missing the point of the first rule. If you're thinking, I need thousands, then it's pointless, because this is not about $100. Remember, I told you about get powerful quick. So if you're thinking about that way, you are now trapped in the very paralysis that I'm trying to break. So the $100 is a symbol, it is a token, it is the proof that you are not powerless. This principle is about three things that are infinitely more valuable than cash, which I'm going to teach you. But I need you to understand the fulcrum of this first rule. The fulcrum is that you need to be powerful. You need to feel powerful. You need to feel that you are under control, that you are in charge of your finances and in charge of your destiny when you are in a bad economy. Because the worst trap is learned helplessness. When you get yourself to a point that you think, oh, the economy is so terrible and I can't do anything about it, that's the worst thing. The economy is terrible. The government and the president and all his people, they are all messing up the economy. They don't know what they are doing. The taxes are too much and things. Once you start feeling powerless, you are going to lose. So this first rule is about giving you power over the situation, not the situation having power over you. So now, in this principle, there are three things which I'm going to tell you right now that are more valuable than cash, like when economy is bad. So the first pillar, there are three pillars. The first pillar is the psychological victory, breaking the spell of helplessness. You know, if you go out there in the street, whether in America or in the UK or France is in a mess. France is in a terrible shape. Many countries in Europe, indeed. You know, or you go out there in South Africa or in Nigeria or Ghana in the streets. You can, if you see 10 people, maybe 9.5 out of the 10 people you see there are, you know, you can see the spell. You can literally feel the spell of helplessness. Then you open the social media, you listen to stories of people, you can feel the spell of helplessness. You know, so somebody is reaching out, the person is sick, had accident, was sick, didn't have money to go to the hospital, funds was raised for the person to go to the hospital, she's hardly finished receiving treatment, there's accommodation problem, she's being chased out. Helplessness, feeling of helplessness everywhere. So that is the first thing that we have to break. So that pillar is to take back your power. to take back your power, to not let yourself fall under the spell of helplessness. You see, that's why I like watching guys like David Goggins. I don't know how many of you are familiar with David Goggins, and then sometimes athletes, who have overcome incredible odds to become, when you read these stories about people who have overcome incredible, like mind-numbing odds to achieve their goals, it gives you a lot of motivation. It gives you hope, because you need hope. And that's why I advise, in a bad economy, read a lot. Read particularly of biographies, of people, many successful business people had serious rejections. Walt Disney, I don't know how many rejections I hear that he had before somebody believed in him. But he had dozens of rejections. Nobody gave him money. Nobody believed in him. So you find that you need to overcome that spell of helplessness. And then how do you do that? You take back your power. Okay? So in a crisis, your biggest enemy is not the economy. Your biggest enemy is not the economy. What is your biggest enemy in a bad economy? In the economy, is the story you tell yourself. The story that you say that says, I'm a victim. There's nothing I can do. You've got to avoid that at all costs. Telling yourself that story. And you tell yourself the system is rigged. Have you heard it? Have you heard people say that? The system is rigged. It's rigged in favor of the billionaires, of the elite. And I hear that a lot in America. Anytime in the US, there's this belief that, the system is rigged. It's a story you're telling yourself. Because the truth is, you are caught in the web of your own stories. And the stories are neither right nor wrong. It's your story. And the story you tell yourself means a lot. So because such stories, such victim stories create learned helplessness. I remember in business schools, because I teach in business schools. And, sometimes people have this feeling, you cannot use Dangote as a case study for us, entrepreneurs who are just starting, that the system was rigged in his favor, that he bought the government, that the government gave him licenses and gave him monopoly and things like that. So when you tell yourself stories like that, you embrace helplessness. So automatically, you cannot aspire to do what Dangote has done, because you've told your story that the story that causes learned helplessness for you. But the moment you earn that first $100 on your own terms, not from your boss, not from your own but from your own ingenuity, you shatter that story. You shatter that story. I shattered that story that, because at some point people were telling the story until I now started telling the story myself. Dangote, that he rigged the thing. He buys government. He sponsors politicians and things like that. And then, when I stopped, when I applied this first rule, and I made my first money that did not depend on government, did not depend on any single person, because I'd already quit Shell. I broke that story. I shattered that story, because I found that I can also create wealth. Like Dangote creates wealth. He hasn't created. There's opportunity for everybody. Like they say in my village, the sky is too wide for two birds to collapse. Okay, so that's pillar number one. Take back your power and be very, very intentional about the story that you tell yourself. And I know there are people who are shattering these stories. I see a lot of young people doing things. Okay, so I know a young man who saw things lying in the house that were not being used, things that could be sold, and he listed them on Gigi. Is it Gigi they call it? Yeah, Gigi. There are so many platforms, Etsy and all that, Facebook Marketplace, but it's not available in many parts of Africa. So he listed these things and sold, made money. He took back his power. So that money, his ingenuity of finding items, listing it online, and then making that money. That same young man went and registered in Upwork and started getting gigs and getting paid in US dollars. He broke that learned helplessness. Okay, so and then momentum is the most valuable currency in a downturn. Getting momentum. Okay, so pillar number 2 is proof of concept. The data point for scalable wealth. Proof of concept. So you can write it. Okay, proof of concept. Find your winning formula. Proof of concept. So this is for builders, the strategists, the future entrepreneurs in the audience and people watching this. You can't scale a theory. You can't build a business on a maybe. That first $100 is your first crucial data point. When I started making money online, it took a long while. I had been wanting to earn money online because the truth is, nothing is stopping anybody from any part of the world, from becoming rich. Because before, your market was essentially limited to your geography. But today, there are young people in Accra selling goods to some people in Sydney, Australia. There are young people in Kenya selling goods to people in Netherlands and America, shipping every day. There are people shipping, they're Nigerian fashion designers making clothes and shipping all over Europe and America, Canada and South America, shipping from here. But before, if you were a tailor in the 70s or 80s or 90s, your catchment area was just within the neighborhood. And so your entire market, serviceable, addressable market, was just within that neighborhood. But today, you can be a fashion designer in Lagos and making money from clients in Paris, in Milan, in London. So there's no excuse. But you need proof of concept. And the moment that first $100 drops from this thing, that is amazing. Okay, that's amazing. Because it shows you that it is possible. It shows you that it's possible. And you need this proof of concept in a down economy. And you are going to need a lot of it in 2026 from what I see coming. Okay, so that's what the proof of concept does for you. Okay, now pillar number 3. But before I go there, there's a concept we call minimum viable product. Don't overthink. When you have an idea, something that can bring in income in this economy, don't overthink it. Just build like the minimum viable product of that thing. Send it out early. Make the mistakes, get the feedback, post things about it online on social media, on your social media handle. Get a proof that it works. That becomes a very powerful asset for you in a down economy, because all you need is just one income stream, one proof of concept that brings in that first $100, and then the rest is history. I made money this year because I embody what I'm telling you. I embody what I'm telling you, because the economy has been quite challenging, this year. But this year, I told myself, I can actually sell, I can actually help people get, because I use honey. I don't remember the last time that I touched white sugar. How much more put it in my mouth? I do not remember how long ago that was. So I use honey. But then the problem I found was that honey was very extremely difficult to buy. Honey is, in fact, I'm told that the Food and Agricultural Organization, that's the United Nations agency, that they said that honey is the third most adulterated food item in the whole world globally. That gives you an idea about how extremely difficult it is to buy trusted honey. I don't know if it's like that in your own country. You know, so many things that people sell that you buy in the supermarket, like honey, they are not honey. And then I remember the honey that my mother used to buy from the hunters when we were young, growing up in the early 1970s. We had this massive bush behind our house. And then in the night, the hunters will go into the forest, harvest this honey. They go with smoke and they harvest this honey. So early in the morning, as they are coming out of the bush and going to the market, my mother would waylay them and buy the honey off them. My goodness. And I remember as a child, the taste of honey, unadulterated honey. And I've never tasted that sort of thing, you know. So what did I do? I have a truck. I bought it for that purpose because the roads are horrible in this part of the world. So I drove to the villages looking for hunters, people who hunt wild honey. I identified a couple of them, and then I was almost signing up a sort of contract with two of them from a particular village. When I now realized, or I learned, that their method of harvesting the wild honey was compromised. So they use a particular chemical, which in Nigeria they call otapiapia, you know. So whatever that chemical is. So they put it in a foam and then put it on a long pole, wooden pole, and then put it on the hive. Then the bees die. As the bees are dying, you know. So when I learned, because I was determined to send my people to follow them, to video everything, how it happens. So I said, no, I will not use these people, because there's no how some bit of that chemical will not fall into the honey. So I started driving around, you know, making another search, and then I finally found one from a particular village with a massive forest, with a massive rainforest that has never been touched or caught, you know, since Adam's time. So, and I sent the boy who works with me to go with him to video his entire process. So that's how I got the honey source, and then I put it out there, and I sold a lot of honey. I sold hundreds and hundreds of liters of honey, and I made money doing that. So what I'm telling you is doable. It's bad economy, but I identified a need. I identified a pain point, because people all over the place want honey, but just like the frustration I face, they do not know what to trust, and what they are feeding their children, what they are taking, is not honey. But this one, they can trust it. And guess what? Because they have used it and then known the difference and tasted real wild honey, they want to buy again in another, because unfortunately it's only available during the dry season. That's when the hunter goes into the bush, you know, to get it. So you can tell that if you have an idea like that, which you bring to the market and make your first $100, you can be sure that you will laugh at bad economy. Even on one product, you can laugh at bad economy. Okay, so pillar number 3. Remember I said there are 3 pillars. Pillar number 3 is the seed of reinvestment. The seed of reinvestment. So that your first $100 is a seed. The question is, what will you grow with it? Because when the economy is bad, you still need to practice delayed gratification. So whatever you are earning, you are not consuming it. And you're not trying to impress anybody. There are habits you must drop in a bad economy, even in good one. You drop it in good one. How much more bad economy? That habit of flexing, that habit of trying to show off, to impress your neighbors, impress people. In the bad economy, it's foolishness to be spending money to impress people and to impress neighbors. And a lot of people do it. I see a lot of people who are buying iPhone 17 and they don't have like a business or regular cash flow. Something just drops into their account straight on to go buy iPhone 17. And then when they make a little more money, the first thing is to buy a car. No, you should be thinking about reinvestment. So this is where that principle becomes actionable for everyone. What do you do with that first $100? You don't just spend it. You are like a farmer. So this is your seed. So you have 2 choices. If you are in survival mode, use the seed to buy calm. I can't tell you how precious, how much of an asset, just having a calm mind is when the economy is bad. Just having calm. So use it to pay a small bill, buy a week's groceries, or put gas in your car. The goal is to reduce your immediate panic. Okay, that is if you're in survival mode. And by reducing your financial anxiety, you can free up your most precious resource. And what's your most precious resource? Your mental energy and focus. So in 2026, in the bad economy that will likely happen in 2026, protect your mental energy and your focus, because that's the engine of making money. Because now you are thinking clearly enough to plant your next seed. But if you're in growth mode, so there's survival mode, there's growth mode, this $100 is your seed capital. So you need to reinvest it directly back into your proven system. So you scale that system that's already working. Are you already beginning to see that if you apply this, you can go back and listen to this over and over? Because many times you don't get it the first time. You don't get it listening to it live like this. So sometimes you get it listening to it over and over again. This, in fact, might be the most important video that you are going to watch in a long time to prepare you for what is coming. Okay? So with that growth fund, that seed fund, you can buy more inventory that you used to reproduce. In the case of my honey, as people paid, I bought more. As people paid, I used to buy more, to continue to buy more, because a few people have discovered the guy, and so people come from all over the place. People come from hundreds of kilometers to buy his honey because he's been into it for a long time. And the way he harvests honey, he doesn't use chemicals. He uses a leaf. He uses the leaf. He puts a leaf in his mouth. Some kind of ancestral science. That's what I would call it. And then the bees, he'll get a few things, but he's used to them. But the bees, that leaf actually dispels them. So I have to invest what I'm selling in the honey to get some more inventory. So you see, as that economic activity is going on, there's nothing, you don't feel the bad economy because you're getting cash flow, and you're also getting good margin, enough to do your grocery, do other things and all that. So you see, bad economy doesn't affect you if you apply this principle. Okay, so I want to give you an action plan, 5 steps. So get ready, because it's not just enough to hear this. I need you to practice it. Watch yesterday's video if you haven't. Watch yesterday's video if you haven't, because I did talk a lot about the importance of patience. Don't be in a hurry. Just be consistent with this principle. You will surprise yourself. Okay? Just be consistent. So let me give you 5-step action plan to implement all the things that I've told you today. So enough theory. Let's talk about action plan. So your mission is to complete this sprint, like in the next 7 days. Okay? Complete it. You don't have to wait till next month or next year. You can do it right now. Step number 1 is the audit. Your step number 1 is the audit. Your first $100 is likely already in your possession. So I want you to spend 1 hour, just 60 minutes, and find 5 to 10 things in your home that you no longer need. That's what that young man I know did. Audit your house. There's some clothes you've not used, especially our sisters and wives. There are clothes in your boxes that you've never touched in the past 3 to 4 years. Please confirm. Confirm in the comment section. Because you see, when I go around talking to people about their personal finance, one of the things people don't realize that keeps people struggling financially is inventory. It's inventory. You have a jewel, you have jewelry, you have clothes, you have shoes that are locked up inside your house for the past 5 years. You've not worn them. You've not touched them, but they are there. Did you know that that thing you're keeping there is cash flow that you put in prison? It's trapped cash. It's wealth. Idle wealth that you demobilized. And their value today is not the value that those shoes and those clothes were 5 years ago because of inflation. So you might actually sell them higher today. But it's going to be cheaper than what you bought them. So the more you keep those things, you are not only tying up cash, tying up your finances, it's also losing value. So audit, find those clothes, old electronics, kitchen equipment, and all those things, collectibles. In those days, in our time, it's not uncommon to find some wedding gifts. You got married 18 years ago, 24 years ago, and there are wedding gifts that you have not even opened. If you know what I'm talking about, just type true in the comment section. And in those days, dinner sets used to be very, very common as wedding gifts. Clocks used to be very, very common in those days as wedding gifts. Clocks. In one wedding, if you wedded around the time I wedded, I got married 30 years ago. So if you got married around 30, 40 years ago, chances are that you got many wall clocks. And you probably got dinner sets. And then everywhere you move, you are carrying wedding gifts of 18 years ago, 19 years ago that you haven't opened. Guy, that is money. Stop being emotionally attached to plates. That is cash that you've tied down. Okay? So list them. List them on Facebook Marketplace. List them on eBay. List them on Poshmark. List them on Seller. List them on Gigi. Whatever platform. List them on Etsy. That is your fastest path to activation. Very important. That is the audit. Step number 2, the skill scan. Skill Skills are the new bank, the new what do you call these places that they produce money? Mint. Your skills are literally money mints. So what can you do that others find difficult to do? Can you write? Can you do incredible graphic design on Canva? Can you assemble, for our European friends, can you assemble IKEA furniture? Can you proofread? So make a list of your skills, marketable skills that you have. Can you work with children? Can you teach children? Can you help children with special learning needs? Yeah, all those things. Okay. Can you, you probably are a veteran mother. You've raised 5, 6 children. There are young mothers who are just having their first baby and they need a lot of guidance. So can you do a tutorial? Can you do a course or something, some videos that people can buy on breastfeeding, on nursing children, on how women can get their stomachs flat again after childbirth? Do you know how much money is hidden there? So do your skill scan, okay? So make out of it, select like 1 or 2 marketable skills that you have. Step number 3 is the gig launch. The gig launch. So take that particular skill, create a single offer. Okay? Breastfeeding without fear. Fearless breastfeeding. You know, and then you talk about why you want to breastfeed your child in spite of the modern way of living. And you can do like a 1-hour video and break it into like 5 sections or something. Make an offer. Okay, you can say, I will design 3 social media graphics for $50. Make a gig. I will write a 500-word blog for $75. And then AI makes things extremely easy these days. So post that offer on one platform. It could be your local Facebook group. It could be Nextdoor app. It could be Fiverr or Upwork. So your goal is not to get 100 clients. Your goal is to get 1. How many? 1. Remember, I talked about the first rule, and I talked about your first $100, and I also talked about the proof of concept. You just need 1. You don't need 100. That's the goal, the immediate goal. Step number 4 is the local hustle. So look around your community. People are busy and stressed. People are busy and people are stressed. People don't pay attention anymore. So offer a 2-hour decluttering service. It's something I can actually work with. You know, the front of my where I live needs landscaping, and I wish I could find somebody in the neighborhood who will, you know, who can show me some really very good landscaping design and tell me how much it is. I'm busy. I can't do that landscaping. You know, if I can find somebody who will do it, that would be wonderful. I have my ideas or something, but I don't have the time. So there's always that gap in your community. Okay, so offer to do a garden cleanup service. Garden cleanup service, $80 or something. So the barrier to entry is 0. Look around you in the neighborhood. I'm telling you, people are busy. There are things you can do in the neighborhood. Even things as simple as, I want a dog. So I want a dog, but I have been having some reservations about getting a dog. I really like some of these big dogs, you know, like I want to have like 2, 3, you know, of them for a long time. But because of my itinerary, I travel the world a lot. I travel a lot. So I'm hardly in one place. And so my challenges. So if I get these dogs, I've already made arrangements for them. But if I get these dogs, what happens when I travel? What happens when I travel? Like I travel outside the country and I'm away for 3 months or 2 months. What happens to the dogs? So it's been a big problem. So there are local challenges. If you look at your community, you will find such problems. And so did you know that if I find somebody who can actually take care of the dogs, feed them, I think somewhere, I don't know whether it's in Europe or United States, I once read about a dog hotel or something like that, where, you can lodge your dogs and travel. When you come back, they take care of the dogs, they feed them, they walk them. When you come back, you collect your dog. There are people like us, who want that sort of service. Okay, so the barrier to entry is 0. Step number 5, the reinvestment decision. So the moment you get that your first $100, what you do with it matters a lot. You must decide, is this for survival, calm? Is this for survival, calm? Or is this for growth, fuel? So you make the conscious choice. This is how you take control. Everything I have been telling you today is about being in control, about taking control, about having power, building your power over the economy instead of the economy building power over you. It's about you being on top of the economy instead of the economy, the weight of the economy being on top of you. If the weight of the economy is on top of you, you're going to be in trouble. But if you are on top of the economy, you can laugh in the middle of the storms and you will have food to feed your family, even when other people are crying for food. Okay, so let me address some objections and also help you to make some mindset shifts. Because what I've discovered as a big problem for many people getting wealthy in this part of the world is mindset. I'm going to talk about one particular one. So, but let me tell you, because I know what some of you may be thinking. The first one is, I don't have time. I don't have time. But see, you are spending time worrying. Sometimes, 3 hours, you're lying in your bed worrying. So redirect 3 hours of worry time into action time. Switch it. This is an investment. It's not an expense. Imagine if the 3 hours you spend worrying every day, or the 4 hours. There are many of you parents and many of you daddies, who don't sleep at night because you spend it worrying. Where is this rent going to come from? The rent is due in 2 weeks. There's nothing coming in from anywhere. There's even nothing to sell. So you stay up late, worrying. So in the morning you have headache, you go to work, with headache and that. So you have time. So the time you spend worrying, redirect it into action. Secondly, some of you are saying, I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of failing. So this is not a failure. If you only make $20, it's not a failure. It's a successful experiment. You learned at least what doesn't work, and that is valuable data. So you can pivot and try another path from the sprint. You can't be afraid of failure. And then even if you fail, the more you fail, actually, the more your chances of succeeding. And then this is the biggest one. That's the one I was referring to. So some people say, oh, this is beneath me. It's too small. I hear it, and this is probably the most dangerous thought, because pride and a poverty mindset often wear the same mask. As a graduate, I graduated from the university. I squatted in Makoko. and I did not mind selling the things, the guys who were squatting me. So in exchange, I sell these food items, by the streets, gari, beans, rice, all those things. I didn't say I'm a graduate. I needed to survive, and I had a dream. So I didn't care. And then not long ago, after I left Shell and everything collapsed, and I kept trying to find my feet, pay the children's school fees and things like that, I sold fruit juices, fresh fruit juices, by the side of a road. I did. I will make the juice. I had equipment to make the juice, pineapple and ginger, carrot and ginger, tiger nut milk, all kinds of combinations, pineapple juice. And I will go to by the side of the road, put on music, and I'll be dancing and selling. I had worked in Shell by this time. I had traveled around the world, America, everywhere, by this time. So when you really know where you go, because who are you trying to impress? What is all this? What is pride about? What is it? It's beneath me. You got to do. A man has got to do what a man has got to do. Okay, so you don't say it's beneath me, because many times it's pride, and then it's still and it's poverty mindset. Those two go together. So they wear the same clothes. But every millionaire I know started with a single, often small transaction. And humility is the gateway to abundance. Many times it's the humble thing that you're doing that opens the big doors. I read a story about a very, very successful architect and the way he made his breakthrough. Somebody gave him a job to make a fence, which at that time was really far beneath him, but just to construct a fence. Do you know the guy did it? From there, because of how he did it and then the quality of what he did, bigger projects, massive projects came his way. Today, the guy is rich. But suppose he had said, no, I won't take this small project. It's beneath me. Would he have been where he is today? So, your answer is as good as mine. Okay, so let's bring it home and let's bring it to a good landing. The world feels chaotic right now because of the economy, but you don't have to. You don't have to feel chaotic with the world. The first rule for surviving and thriving in any bad economy is to focus on what you can control. That's all I've been saying. Focus on what you can control. Your first victory, your first $100. That $100 is a symbolic number. It's just a token. So whatever it is. So this principle is your anchor. It gives you power when you feel powerless. Because your biggest enemy when the economy is down is the feeling of helplessness. The feeling that you are not in control. That's a dangerous feeling. That's what's going to make it very difficult for you and your family to survive. Okay? So that principle gives you power when you feel powerless. It gives you data when you feel lost. It gives you a plan when you feel overwhelmed. Because it's such a blessing when you're overwhelmed, to follow a plan instead of following your mood. Always follow a plan, not your mood. Okay? So your assignment is simple. Stop asking, how can I solve all my problems? And start asking the one question that changes everything. What is the fastest path to my first $100 victory? Okay, so that shift from overwhelm to focused action is how you not only survive this bad economy, but emerge from it stronger, smarter, wiser, and more in control of your destiny than ever. Has this been useful to you? So say so. What was your aha moment today? And I can take one or two questions from the live session. So if you have a burning question on today's topic, please go ahead and type it. And then while you are typing it, what was your aha moment today? I really want to know. Remember, we always talk about our aha moment. What was it that made it for you today? What was the thing that you felt, this was what I came here to hear today? Type it in the comment section. Okay, Eukaria says, I can clean an apartment very well, and everyone I clean for is always happy with my work. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. Start from there, for goodness sake. That is something. You know, because in bad economy, people will still want to clean their apartment. And then, eventually, you can scale it. As you're getting more clients, you train more people, more young school leavers who are looking for something, for ways to earn some extra income. You train them. And so you become a supervisor, because you can only do so much as you at any particular time. But when you have a lot more people, you can train them and then get more clients until you capture the entire neighborhood. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. What else? What else? Okay. What are your aha moments? What are your aha moments? Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Okay. So today we were looking at, for those of you who joined us late, we were looking at what is the first rule for surviving any bad economy. And I've shown you that first rule, that once you obey that first rule, it will take care of everything else. Okay. Let me see all the comments. Okay, City Money 7 says, I needed this message. It was God sent. You are very welcome. Okay, Augustine says, protect yourself, your mental energy and focus. Absolutely. Okay. Find your winning formula. Yep. Never be under the spell of helplessness. Absolutely, because that would be the worst thing. Secure a small, tangible financial victory. Entirely understand my control as fast as possible. Okay. Grace Iforma RV4V says, this is my first time joining and I really enjoy this class and even widen my knowledge. Absolutely. All right. Okay, so it's been such a wonderful pleasure being with you tonight. We will continue tomorrow, because what I want to do is, through this season, to help people through very, very difficult financial situations that people are going through all over the world at this time, and also to help you take advantage of the incredible investment opportunity that November and December usually present, especially in the stock market, and then possibly even in crypto. All right, so whatever happens, keep showing up, because you never know what's coming your way next. And I will see you exactly the same time tomorrow. God bless you.